I'm gonna categorically describe it as, you guys are not tough enough. Or maybe I put it another way, you're a bunch of pussies. Excuse the expression, but I'm almost certain the word was used.
Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. Welcome to day 539. In its seventh public hearing, the January 6th committee detailed how divisions between White House attorneys and outside advisors pressing Trump to pursue election fraud conspiracy claims exploded into an unhinged meeting that featured screaming, personal insults, accusations of disloyalty, and a challenge to physically fight. Representative Jamie Raskin said, quote, "The meeting has been called, quote, unhinged, not normal, and the craziest meeting of the Trump presidency," end quote. Arguments during the December 18th, 2020 meeting broke out over Rudy Giuliani, Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, and former Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne urging Trump to declare a national emergency, take voting machines from states, and name Powell as special counsel to pursue baseless claims of fraud, all in an effort to keep Trump in office. Former White House counsel Pat Cipollone recalled pushing back on the group by asking them to provide evidence that the election was fraudulent, but they showed a, quote, general disregard for the importance of actually backing up what you say, end quote. Former White House lawyer Eric Hirschman added that at one point he challenged Flynn to a fight as Flynn was berating the White House attorneys for being quitters and not fighting hard enough for Trump. Hirschman said the group had suggested that Venezuela had meddled with the election and that the internet-connected thermostats were changing votes. Cipollone added that he was, quote, not happy to see the people in the Oval Office. "I don't think any of these people were providing the president with good advice, and I didn't understand how they had gotten in," end quote. The meeting lasted more than 6 hours, beginning in the Oval Office and ending in Trump's private residence. Hours later, Trump turned to riling up his supporters, tweeting for them to come to Washington and protest the January 6th electoral vote count. Quote, "Be there, we'll be wild," end quote. The January 6th committee also notified the DOJ that Trump contacted one of its witnesses who hasn't publicly testified yet. Quote, "After our last hearing, President Trump tried to call a witness in our investigation, a witness you have not yet seen in these hearings," said Liz Cheney. "That person declined to answer or respond to President Trump's call and instead alerted their lawyer to the call. Their lawyer alerted us," end quote. It's not the first time that the panel has warned of potential attempts at witness tampering. In one phone call, according to the committee, a witness was told to be a team player and would remain in good graces in Trump world if they demonstrated that they were protecting who I need to protect. The Justice Department has the power to prosecute Trump if it determines that he tampered with a congressional witness. Liz Cheney added,
"President Trump is a 76-year-old man. He is not an impressionable child. Just like everyone else in our country, he is responsible for his own actions and his own choices."
Moving on, the Biden administration told hospitals that they must provide women with access to abortions in emergencies, even in states that have banned the procedure following the Supreme Court's decision to end the constitutional right to abortion. The Department of Health and Human Services cited federal law that health emergencies take priority over state laws banning abortion. Quote, "Under the law, no matter where you live, women have the right to emergency care, including abortion care," said HHS Secretary Javier Becerra. "Today, in no uncertain terms, we are reinforcing that we expect providers to continue offering these services and that federal law preempts state abortion bans when needed for emergency care," end quote. The Justice Department also announced that it's launching a reproductive rights task force to prevent overreach from state and local governments that are seeking to impose new bans on access. Democrats in Congress, meanwhile, plan to vote this week on legislation that would protect the right to travel for abortion services and would explicitly give healthcare providers the right to provide abortion services and patients the right to obtain them. The bills, however, are all but certain to fail in the Senate, where Democrats still lack the 60 votes required to break a Republican filibuster. Meanwhile, Biden still plans to nominate an anti-abortion Republican to a lifetime appointment as a federal judge in Kentucky, despite several Senate Democrats promising to vote against Chad Meredith's confirmation. While Biden has not formally nominated Meredith, the White House informed Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear's office in a June 23 email. Biden's plan to nominate Meredith is purported to be part of a deal with Mitch McConnell, so he'll stop obstructing other judicial nominees in the deadlocked Senate. Moving on, the Biden administration is working on a plan to allow a second COVID-19 booster shot for all adults, pending federal agency approval. Currently, a second booster shot is available only to those 50 and older or those 12 and older who are immunocompromised. The BA.5 Omicron subvariant has recently become the dominant strain in the United States, accounting for more than 60% of all new infections. Antibodies from vaccines and previous coronavirus infections offer limited protection against the BA.5 variant. And finally, Jill Biden apologized for comparing the Latino community to breakfast tacos. Quote, "The diversity of this community," Biden said, "distinct as the bodegas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio, is your strength," end quote. Biden continued during her speech and said, quote, "And yet it's when you speak with one voice, unidos, that you find your power," end quote. Biden also mispronounced the Spanish word bodegas in that line of the speech. The National Association of Hispanic Journalists responded saying, quote, "We are not tacos, do not reduce us to stereotypes," end quote. And in the polls, the New York Times says 49% of Republican voters say they would support Trump in the 2024 election, while 25% say they'd vote for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.